Buonasera, signore e signori. Welcome to Casa Italiana Zerilli-Marimò, New York University. My name is Chiara Basso, and I am the Media Communication Strategy here at Casa. So if you're here tonight, it might be also my fault. And tonight we have the pleasure of presenting The Bread of Angels, Wisdom and Music Behind Hearts. This theatrical performance is a collaboration between students from Yale Institute of Sacred Music and formerly incarcerated partners to reveal the contemporary relevance of Dante's Divine Comedy. Please stay after the performance for a dialogue on Dante, prison, and the arts, moderated by Professor Ron Jenkins from Yale Divinity School. And please welcome Professor Jenkins.
Thank you, Chiara, and thank you all for being here this evening. It's great to have you here, and thanks to everyone at the Casa Italiana for welcoming us so warmly and doing all the work behind the scenes that needs to be done to make this happen. And especially Stefano Albertini, who can't be here tonight, but he does a wonderful job directing this institution, which really is a gem in New York cultural life. It's all kinds of amazing events happen here, scholars and artists, and so we're really honored to be part of the program that the director Albertini has put together. Tonight we're going to start off with a song about freedom, because freedom is the theme that is what's going to run through all the stories that you're going to hear tonight, and it's going to be sung by an extraordinary performer, Naomi Wilson. I can tell by that applause that some of you have already heard her sing. So if you haven't, you're in for a treat. And she's going to be singing about freedom, and she's someone who knows what that word means because she spent 37 years in prison waiting for her freedom and singing songs like freedom for other women whose freedom who had been deprived of freedom, and who looked up to her as a role model and a mentor. And Miss Naomi has been a mentor to me and my students at Yale for several years, working with us and as have the other formerly incarcerated partners that you're going to meet tonight, reading Dante with us so that we could see the poems through their eyes and understand that it still has powerful relevance for anybody that's looking for freedom. It's a poem about freedom, and Dante, at the foot of Purgatory Mountain, Virgil, Dante's guide, defines the purpose of his journey. He says he's libertava cercando. Dante is looking for freedom. And like Virgil, he guides Dante through his journey up through out of the hell, through purgatory, up to heaven. Miss Naomi, BL Shirelle, our other formerly incarcerated guests were our guides as we were trying to make sense of the poem and that journey to freedom. And although this work that you're going to see tonight is the result of a semester-long collaboration, the roots of the work go back longer than that, back to 2010, when I began teaching Dante's poem in Sing Sing. And I'm very honored to have one of the students of that class from Sing Sing in 2010 is here tonight, Dario Pena, and he's still remembers those quotes from Dante, and he has done amazing work at Columbia University since his release. He's doing wonderful things. I'm going to invite him to talk with the students and the performers after the event, and you can hear a little bit from him as well as from all the rest of us. And like Dante, who himself was convicted of crimes and sentenced to death, and spent decades in exile from his home and family, all of our formerly incarcerated and currently incarcerated partners refused to accept the words that were written on the gates of hell. The famous quote from Dante's poem, "Lasciate ogni speranza voi che entrate," abandon all hope, you who enter here. Because they noticed that Dante did not abandon hope. He went right past that sign, climbed up the devil's back, and made his way out of hell in purgatory to paradise. And so when you see the school, actually, why don't you all go up into the stage there? The performers are going, and when they're up there, you're going to see them at some point lift up their Dante books. Show the audience your Dante books.
There it is.
And at that moment, that's when they'll be quoting Dante's words, and they'll be inviting you to think about what Dante's medieval journey of transformation has in common with contemporary journeys of transformation that millions of formerly and currently incarcerated men and women are going through today as they struggle to make their way out of the hells they've lived through in the past to the heavens that they aspire to reach in the future. And during those difficult journeys, they've acquired amazing amounts of wisdom. And that wisdom is what is at the heart of all the stories and songs that you're going to see today. It's the kind of knowledge and wisdom that Dante called the bread of the angels. So we are pane degli angeli. So we're thankful that you're here to get a taste of that wisdom, and we hope that you enjoy the feast. Thank you.
Over me, yeah, oh, freedom, freedom over me, before I be a slave. I'll be buried somewhere, anywhere, in my grave. Then I'm going home to live with God. Yeah, oh, oh, freedom. Thank you, God. Freedom, freedom all over me. Hey, hey, oh. Freedom, freedom over me. I tell you before I be anybody's slave, I'd rather be buried anywhere, I don't care, in my grave. Then I'm going home to live with God. I'll tell you before I be anybody's slave, I'd rather be buried anywhere, I don't care, in my grave. Then I'm going home to
Almost half of all Americans experience an episode of mental illness in their life, and almost 60% of them won't get any treatment. Robin Ledbetter was only 14 years old when she was incarcerated at an adult prison, looking at a sentence of 50 years. Looking at that much time at that age, holding onto hope is almost impossible. But maintaining your sanity in a prison system only designed to punish you is almost improbable. Just take a second and think of your 14-year-old self. How can a 14-year-old cope with all that? Robin started to struggle with depression. It even got so bad, she tried to kill herself. So, she had to spend much time at a mental health unit, or as she once described it, another circle of hell. Just like Dante, her time in prison felt like a journey through hell for her. For Dante, the ones whom anger has defeated are sinners, and they have to suffer, being stuck in the mud of sticks, being unable to speak for all time. But we now know that depression, anxiety, bipolar disorder, PTSD, schizophrenia, and all the other illnesses are exactly that. Illnesses. We can't just silence these people. They deserve treatment in prison and in every other place in the world. The German song by Paul Gerhardt gives hope to everyone. The first word of each verse built together a verse of Psalm 37. Commit your way to the Lord. Trust in Him, and He will act. Thinking of mental health treatment, what images come to your mind? Let us give you an impression of the mental health unit in prison. Here, one must leave behind all hesitation. Here, every cowardice must meet its death.
Qui si convien lasciare ogni sospetto, ogni viltà convien che qui sia morta.
I promise you still, scariest shit that I've seen on the hill is being in prison while mentally ill, where they kill you, will day after day, through pill after pill.
Well, every long-termer has heard and is meant as a compliment, but really is an insult. Man, if that was me, I would have been tried to kill myself. And I did.
Through me, the way into the suffering city. Through me, the way to the eternal pain. Through me, the way that runs amongst the lost.
Per me si va nella città dolente. Per me si va nell'eterno dolore. Per me si va tra la perduta gente.
I have yet to find the words to describe what those first moments of clarity are after attempting to take your own life. But in a hostile prison environment, there is no clarity, only torment. Through me, the suffering city. Your senses are assaulted the minute you walk through the door. First, your nose. The overwhelming smell of bleach to cover the smell of unwashed bodies constricts your lungs. Your ears. There's banging. Women are screaming, yelling, and singing. The touch. It is so cold. Metal beds, metal toilets, metal sinks, no shoes, no socks, no panties, no bras, no nothing. Just a one-size-fits-all, paper down. And then the eyes. The halls are lined with large windows, each displaying naked, hollowed-out women. Beautiful women, twisted and tormented, almost unrecognizable. Forced into filmed showers withheld as punishment, forced to eat with their hands, slop shoved through a hole in the door. No toilet paper, no tampons, no sanitary products, just humiliation.
Und obgleich alle Teufel hier wollten widerstehen, so wird doch ohne Zweifel Gott nicht zurückgehen, was sich vorgenommen und was haben will. das muss doch endlich kommen zu seinem Zweck und Ziel.
There isn't enough medical staff, so the guards get involved in the treatment or mistreatment of the patients. You must comply. Through me, eternal pain. I have watched women turn into beasts, guttural screams, restrained, forcibly medicated, demonic speech turned into agonizing pleas, and softened into whimpering whispers. I watch my friends turn into empty vessels, bloated and twisted, with vacant eyes. You must comply. Non-compliance is a scarlet letter and an indefinite sentence, and it's hell. So you comply. You take the medication, and then all the noise, the smell, the abuse, the mistreatment, it all quiets as you drift into a drug-induced haze.
Strange utterances, horrible pronouncements, excess of anger, words of suffering, and voices, shrill and faint, and beating hands, all went to make a tumult that will whirl forever through that turbid, timeless air.
Diverse lingue, orribili favelle, parole di dolore, accenti d'ira, voci alte e fioche, suon di manconelle, facevano il tumulto il qual s'aggira sempre in quell'aura senza tempo tinta, come fa l'arena quando turbo spira.
Throughout the 25 years of my incarceration, I entered the mental health unit several times for my depression, but there is no help there. Its sole design is to medicate and subdue. I'm blessed that I made it out of there, but there are so many people that are still suffering. You lead the way that wrongs among the lost.
Auf, o du arme Seele, auf uns sei unverzagt. Gott wird dich aus der Hölle, da dich der Kummer plagt, mit großem Gnade Rücken erwarte nur die Zeit. So wirst du schon erblicken die Sonne der schönsten Freude.
A mental health unit or facility is where people are supposed to get help in your time need. Instead of being punishment.
I promise you this. Scariest shit to ever exist is being in prison while physically sick. And if you got life, then you already dead, so hopefully it'll be quick. I see my son start taking the meds. Shit fucked me up when she seemed to forget. In a year's time she was slobbering, spitting, playing and shit. I promise you still. Scariest shit that I seen on the hill. Being in prison and mentally ill where they kill your will. Day after day you pill after pill. You go bananas and slip on a pill. Stuck in the cell and can't win a pill. Can't even feel so you really can't heal. That's what you can't heal. Ill. The infirmary. Smelling like blood in the murder scene. Mixed with neglect, no sense of respect. We dying from no sense of urgency. We doctors delivering indifference. Standard procedures, routinely surgeries. We dying from constantly being denied our services purposely. Until we are ill eternally. This shit really murder in first degree. Screaming in vain. They don't believe in our pain. It's like we ain't bleeding the same. Serving our time, awake, deserving to die. Freedom will see in the grave. This was create the gate. Only way they can escape. The secret remains. Things and secret remains. I promise you this. Scariest shit to ever exist. Physically sick, and if you got life, then know you already did. Hopefully it'll be quick. I see my son start taking the meds. She fucked me up when she seemed to forget. Any time she was slobbering, spitting, playing with shit. I promise you still. Scariest shit that I seen on the hill. Being in prison and mentally ill. They kill the will. Day after day, you pill after pill. You go bananas and slip on a pill. Stuck in the slam, can't win no pill. Can't even feel, you really can't heal. Really can't heal. Ill.
Tracy Bernardi Guzman almost didn't make it out of prison, not only because of legal barriers, but because she tried to kill herself during a 7-year stretch of solitary confinement. 7 years of solitary out of 23 served. Today you would never guess Tracy's despair behind bars. Buoyant, self-possessed, She's a several times published author and has her own blog. Tracy's also an artist whose pieces have been exhibited in galleries across the Northeast, including the Brooklyn Museum. A relentless advocate, Tracy has helped change 13 Connecticut laws, these changes all geared toward ending mass incarceration. 13. Wow. And she subcontracts with the ACLU as a smart justice leader. Recently, the Connecticut Hall of Change Grade 8 inducted Tracy, one of a long list of civic awards. Part of her activism's fight is Tracy's transparency. She speaks openly about the accumulation of prison abuse, especially from guards and officials, mind games, baiting, using her mental health issues against her to lengthen her sentence, all intended to dehumanize. Tracy's unraveling in prison corroborates Michelle Foucault's assertion that the modern penal system targets inmates' souls more than their bodies. Tracy unequivocally wants this to stop. If I don't tell you here on the outside, she asks, who will? Her testifying is like Dante's character in the lowest depths of the Inferno, as he nears Satan's grotesque figure and wonders if he can even find the words. I bring myself to speak, for it is not a task to take in jest, to show the bottom of the universe.
Non senza tema, dicer mi conduco, che non è impresa da pigliare a gabbo, descriver fondo a tutto l'universo.
Most people who go to prison have experienced trauma and have mental health issues. And if you don't, you get them the second you're strip searched. I can remember the guard once said, "Oh, you liked it at home." Why did I like it at home? Because I'm here for this crime? That means I'm a prostitute, I'm a liar and a thief and everything else because of one thing I did? And if you say, I need to see somebody for mental health, they humiliate you. The first thing that they do is take you in the common area and they handcuff you in front of everybody. And then they lock the entire unit down so that everyone is mad at you.
Cinnamon, where you gonna run to? Cinnamon, where you gonna run to? Cinnamon, where you gonna run to? All on that day.
And in solitary, if you're lying under the door talking to people, it's a problem to the guards because they do not want you to communicate or have any kind of human contact. So they'll go in someone's room and they'll take a sneaker and they'll come out and they'll put it in the dryer and they'll turn it on for a 60-minute cycle. Imagine listening to that. Or the guards will say, I spit in someone's tray today. I wonder whose it is. So no one will eat. And then, when you don't eat, the guard will write a note in the logbook that says, Inmate Bernardi is refusing her trays. And then the captain will come to your door and say, I hear you're refusing your meals. Would you like to see someone for mental health?
A serpent with 6 feet springs out and sinks its teeth into both her cheeks.
E un serpente con 6 piedi si lancia e li addentò e l'una e l'altra guancia.
Honestly, that's a lot of the reason why I hung myself. I couldn't take it anymore. One time, a guard came to my room to do a room search, and he tied all of my sheets in knots. I was up until the middle of the night trying to untie these knots that he tied. And I was on a lot of meds. I really needed to go to sleep, but here I was trying to untie these knots, and they were like so tight. And I was like, why? Like, why would he do this? This wasn't funny, you know, and he wasn't blatantly a jerk. He was somebody that didn't write us tickets. He was somebody that we all kind of thought was cool, but he was here laughing with the other guards. And I was like, this is not funny. Would you do that to your wife? Would you do that to your mother? Would you do that to your sister? Why are you doing that to me? Because you're here?
Well, I run to the stars, stars, won't you hide me? Run to the stars, stars, won't you hide me? Run to the stars, stars, won't you hide me? All on that day.
But we did have Sister Elaine. And she used to come in and she treated us so humanely. It would be raining and we loved her so much. We would sneak her wet clothes into our dryer. Anybody else would be disgusted to have their stuff associated with ours, but not her. She loved us. She would sing with us and hold our hands and talk to us. She helped us. We started to write our feelings, and I think that was a lot of my shift. It was the writing. We wrote our way out of there.
Lord, Lord, look at me praying. Lord, Lord, look at me praying. Lord, Lord, look at me praying. All on that day.
You know, I've always been an advocate. I can remember one time after a performance in the gym at jail, during jail, I told the whole audience, we're all criminals. We just all haven't gotten caught. Everybody had to think about it. Have you ever left a bar after drinking and it hasn't been an hour and you drive? Have you ever, committed a crime, whether you got caught or you didn't? Have you ever sped on a highway? You could have killed somebody, Anyway, nobody has ever come up to me and said, not me. Nobody.
Cinnamon, where you gonna run to? Cinnamon, where you gonna run to? Cinnamon, where you gonna run to? All on that day. Well, Lord, Lord, look at me praying. Lord, Lord, at me praying. Lord, at me praying. All on that day.
Lord, Lord, look at me praying. Lord, Lord, look at me praying. Lord, Lord, look at me praying all on the day.
Of all Americans that get a 50-year sentence or more behind bars, 95% die in prison before they have a chance to be forgiven by the state. Dante wrote about a young warrior named Manfred in 13th century Italy who took another man's life. After that, he started to live a life of intense violence and crime until eventually he was excommunicated by the church. He was betrayed by all of his friends, and he was killed on the battlefield. Now in purgatory, Manfred is doing hard time. But he persuades Dante that he's repentant and he begs for forgiveness. Ray Boyd walked a similar road as Manfred, taking another man's life and getting a 50-year sentence. They say that healing is a matter of time, but it's also a matter of opportunity. And Ray got that opportunity when he was at a parole hearing and he apologized to the victim's family, and they forgave him. Ray is out now. He's married with kids. There's Jackie in the third row and his daughter Chloe. He is an amazing man. He works at Yale Law School. He's an advocate. He's a published author. He started a nonprofit called Next Level Empowerment Program, where he goes back into the prisons and helps young men like him break cycles and make the most of the time they've been given. It's like Ray, amen. He's going to Rikers tomorrow to do more training. It's like Ray recently told me. He said, I have learned that there's certain pieces in play that ensure that black and brown people end up in prison at a certain point in their life. So I had to figure out how to disrupt that pipeline. So that's why I do what I do. Ray's like a wayfaring stranger who traveled through a world below, but then was lifted up in the light of forgiveness to go home, to live freely, and to give back generously. This is Ray's story, how he did and does his time. We remember now Manfred's words to Dante in Purgatory. In tears, I then consign myself to the one who willingly forgives. My sins were ghastly, but the infinite goodness has arms so wide that it accepts whoever would return.
Io mi rendei, piangendo a quei che volentier perdona. Orribili furon li peccati miei, ma la bontà infinita si gran braccia che prende ciò che si rivolge a lei.
The first law of nature is self-preservation. I was born and raised in the city of New Haven. My mom was on welfare with 9 kids. Coming from the hood, as they would say, I had to do what I had to do to survive. I was charged with murder at the age of 17, 50 years.
Time is costly here in this kingdom.
Che il tempo è caro in questo regno.
50 years.
I'm just a poor, wayfaring stranger.
Every day from the moment that I made that mistake, I have to live with those thoughts. It's vivid, it's right there, it's fresh. It's been over 30 years for me, but every moment that I wake up, it's right there.
I'm traveling through this world below.
50 years. Time does not exist until man sets it in motion. What do you do with your time will determine the man that you become. So when we speak about time and doing time, you could be doing some harsh time, you could be doing some foul time, some BS time, or you could be taking some college courses with your time, or you could even be going to Divinity School with your time. It wasn't until I began to educate myself, learning how to read, learning how to write, that I became consciously aware. Confinement is a place where we find our spirituality. It reminds me of the saying, although I am in this world, I am not of this world. We get so used to worldly things that we forget about our spirituality. The Most High has found a reason to save someone like me, to utilize me as a vessel. That's why I'm not a bitter person. I know that there's a plan, and I know that I'm serving the purpose.
There's no sickness, toil, nor danger in that bright world to which I go.
That's when I had that aha moment. I just didn't want to be known as the individual who had taken someone's life. Once 50 years became my reality, I knew that that wasn't my end game. So I strived every day to alter that reality. They say with 100% dissatisfaction, brings about 100% change.
There is no one so lost that the eternal love cannot return.
Sì non si perde, che non possa tornar l'eterno amore.
So in Connecticut, the law is you cannot have any contact with the victims' families. So I lived with that for over 30 years, knowing that I took in someone's life and I can't even ask the family for their forgiveness or to forgive me. There's that barrier between us. It's like looking at someone through the glass and I'm mouthing, forgive me, and they can't see anything, they can't hear me. But finally, I got the chance to be heard. I took responsibility for my actions. And I was able to express my apologies to the victim family and ask them for forgiveness. Then it was their time to come before the board to speak. They forgave me. Can you imagine that? Over 30 years have passed. It was so emotional. Everything else was just a blur.
I'm going there to see my brothers. I'm going there, one by one.
I'm free now, but I haven't forgotten my past. So I co-founded a 501c3 nonprofit program where I go back into the Connecticut Department of Corrections and teach young men who they are, why they're there, and what they can look forward to upon their release.
Take care and do not waste my warning.
Guarda, giovi ch'io ti scaltro.
It's like talking to my 17-year-old self again. And my 17-year-old self is telling me, man, I already know what I signed up for. And I'm saying, no, you don't. You have no idea what you signed up for. You only signed up to get an extra pair of sneakers or maybe an extra pair of pants. But you never signed up to take anyone's life.
I'm only going over Jordan. I'm only going over.
They forgave me. They said to the board at my hearing, if he's done all of this, then we forgive him, and they should be allowed to go home and do some of the work that he's been doing in prison out there on the streets. And that's exactly what I've been doing ever since I've been released. I have just one question. How will you do your time?
I know dark clouds will gather around me. I go my way is rough and steep, but golden fields lie out before me, while weary eyes will never weep. I'm going there to see my family and all my loved ones who have gone. I'm only going over Jordan. I'm only going over home.
There's an excerpt in Dante's Inferno where Virgil is guiding Dante through hell, and they stop. They see some people who are in hell simply for existing before Christianity. And because of that, they have to spend the rest of eternity in hell. And Dante can't help but to question the unjust of something like that. It's horrible to have to be in hell just because of where you were born, when you were born, etc. And when I read that, I can really relate to something like that, being born in the late 80s as a Black American in this country during the crack epidemic. And it wasn't always like that for my family. I come from a upper class family, actually. And I was a young, aspiring poet,
I had all my dreams ahead of me. I could be whatever I want. And we went to church every single Sunday. We went to Bible study every single Wednesday. And the crack epidemic decimated my family so bad that by the time I was 12 and 13 years old, I was living in a crack house, selling crack cocaine to my own mother. And I started doing drugs, going in and out of placements, 20 years straight of some kind of supervision, incarceration, you name it. But when I was 18, God intervened. Not in the way that you would think. It was a horrible intervention. I got in a shootout with the police. And I was shot multiple times. I was beat to a pulp. But I survived. I lived. God spared me my life. And that was my opportunity to change my life. And I went into prison. And when I got out, I had a nerve to go back right to the same shit. And I went back to prison again. Was in there, I was on my 10th year. And I knew that this was do or die. I knew that this was drown or swim. I had no more chances. And I used to be such a great kid. Everybody used to tell me I had so much potential and I was so smart and blah, 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 blah. And this was my life now. And I had to make a choice. So I went back to my roots. I went back to my faith. I went back to my hopes, my dreams. I started writing them in books. I went back to the young poet that I was. And I wrote my fears, my deepest, darkest secrets, everything I want to be, everything I could have been, everything I should have been. And all of those things ended up manifesting its way into me becoming co-executive director of the first nonprofit record label in America for prison-impacted musicians. Never in prisons, and I make music with wonderful musicians. I was mentored by Miss Naomi when I was doing my 10 years, and she was doing life. And this is my only way that I have to pour back into society as much as I've dreamed. This is all I have. And the song that I'm about to sing for you guys, it's called Till I Go. It's my gospel. It's my faith. It's my hope. And I actually wrote half of the song when I was 14 years old. And then I wrote the other half when I was 34. And I think that that's a testament to some texts being timeless, classic, like Dante. And I can only hope that, when it's my time to go, that my scale tilts good enough. I've done just enough where God allows me into paradise. Till I go, ladies and gentlemen.
This song is about spiritual discomfort. I'm sure a lot of people can relate. Ever get sad from being happy? Like, I did this shit for Gramps, and she in the afterlife. And the sacrifices she made, it took half her life. They'll say she looking down. She hardly had her sight. I feel my faith has lost its appetite. Cause I done served the deacon and the pastor's wife. I used to know them verses front to back and back to right until I read that Bible, printed in this black and white. And it's tractor type. My spirit don't have a sanctuary. It roams cause what is home, but God knows it's gold. Shows straight through my soul and he chose me. Now get a load of me. Fat dyke with a beard so you notice me. I got a limp from some bullets caught below my knee. Triple D's, who the fuck you know as bold as me? But I'm supposed to be exactly how she molded me. Yeah. Only way will I know. Won't know until I go. And if I go before you go, I promise try to let you know. Like I'm spiritually homeless. Still my spirit be roaming. When I'm Where my spirit be gone. Forgive me, I'm high. Some memories die, but some shit stuck with me like a minute ain't even went by. And ain't no changing the cycle. They slayed the disciples in pages of the Bible. I used to pray to a Christ who wasn't doing nothing. Cause the only time I prayed was when I wanted something. I got caught dumping, now I got caught coming. But Lord, please forgive me for all my shortcomings. Give me credit for being forthcoming. I'm not saying it's no paradise, but no one knows what that shit is like. Praising Christ so loud, Jehovah, whoever I like, will make me right. So if I praise my God until I go numb and die, and then I find out that it's the wrong one, am I condemned because I was speaking in the wrong tongue? I'm just translating the lyrics of the song, so only way will I know. Won't know until I go. And if I go before you go, I promise try to let you know. Like I'm spiritually homeless. Swear my spirit be roaming. Where my spirit be gone. Where my spirit be gone. Now let me down to you. Pray on my soul to you. If I should not be full, I pray on my soul. No way, can I get your energy down to you? I pray on my soul to you. If I should not be full, I pray on my soul. Now lay me down. I pray the Lord my soul. If I should not be full, I pray the Lord my soul. And now lay me down. I pray the Lord my soul. If I should not be full, I pray the Lord my soul. Amen.
Let's give it up for this young man. Thank you, Eric. Beautiful.
So I just want to talk to you a little bit. Now, I can understand what Dante was going through when he went through hell, and I'm sure that some of you right here, y'all been through some hell. Might be going through hell right now. Oh yeah, it happens. We go through hell. So I can understand Dante going through hell. I went through hell myself for 37 years. That's 3 decades and 7 years I was in the penitentiary. And I was sentenced to life without the possibility of parole. So tell me God ain't good. Yeah, because I'm standing here today. So throughout all my trials and tribulations, you know, I thought I had gotten over that hurdle. But then I come home. I've been home for 4 years now. 4 years. Thank you. And last year, I was diagnosed with lung cancer and breast cancer. So now I'm thinking to myself, now God let me go through all that hell I went through for 37 years, and now he gonna pop this on me? You know, but thank God for my parents that were like Virgil was to Dante. You know, they instilled good thoughts in me, and I trust God. So I'm just passing through. I always said that since I was a kid, because I would hear my parents say that I'm just passing through. This life is not promised. So Dante, on top of Purgatory Mountain, see, people didn't think that he could get out of hell because they ain't think nobody made it out of hell. But Virgil crowned him once he made it to the heavens. And so I have already made arrangements for my funeral. I told my son and my grandchildren that I wanted a song sung at my funeral called I Will Wear a Crown. And I just believe within my heart of hearts, I don't know, but I just believe that God will look at me and just say, well done, my good and faithful servant. I just feel that. And I too want to wear that crown. So that's my song, I Shall Wear a Crown.
I shall wear a crown. I shall wear a crown. Ooh. When my life is over, thank you, God, I'll wear a crown. I will see God's face. Ooh. I will see His face. When my life is over, I'll see His face. You know what? I'm going to put on my robe and tell the story how I made it over. You better believe that I'm going to put on my robe and tell the story how I made it over. I'm going to put on my robe and tell somebody, hey, how I made it over. I shall wear a crown. Ooh. I shall wear a crown. When my life is over, thank you, God, I'll wear a crown. A crown, yeah. A crown, yeah. A crown.
Thank you all so much, and thank you to all the performers, your guests. Amazing, amazing work. You've been working hard for a really long time, and it's great to see the audience appreciate it so much. Now, as I said, if you have to leave, feel free to go ahead, but if you'd like to stay and give us your comments, ask us some questions, we'd be happy to start a dialogue. And I wanted to ask our friend Dario Pena to come up, and he's been an audience member from a perspective that's really different from everybody's else. So I wonder what it's like to see these versions of Dante being performed after what your first experiences with Dante a while ago. Yeah, come on up.
Professor, is there a paper out there?
Yeah, I think there might be a paper out back. When you leave, if you want to leave your email address, we can stay in touch with you.
Nah, from now in. All right.
So Dario, why don't you take a seat there and start things off?
Hey. Well, thank everybody for coming around tonight and watching these wonderful people perform up here. I was profoundly affected and moved by every story, by every song, by everything you guys did up here. You know, and everything that I've seen from Professor Jenkins has always had that effect on me, because it's always a story of redemption. You know, and sometimes the media and society kind of tends to portray individuals like us with criminal backgrounds as people who are exempt from, you know, anything that could even be thought of as redemptive or rehabilitating, when in fact we've never been habilitated. You know, so how can we be rehabilitated? Prison was designed to break the spirit, not to rehabilitate. And everyone that you see up here has demonstrated, has shown that despite what the system has done to them, despite what society has done to them, they have habilitated themselves, you know, myself included. So I was just profoundly affected by everything I saw up here tonight. And speaking to what the professor had mentioned, I had participated in the first workshop with Dante's Inferno while I was incarcerated at Sing Sing. So
2010.
2010, yeah, about 13 years ago. And at the time, I myself was serving 25 years to life. And I was just released on December 23rd, 2019. So I'm going on 4 years now that I've been released. One of the things I'm very passionate about, just spiritual history, ideology, and philosophy. That's like, you know, something that I'm really deeply affected by. And I didn't particularly grow up with religion, although my mother was Jehovah's Witness, where she kind of instilled those religious principles in me, but never really resonated with me. So as I was saying in solitary confinement for an extended period of time, I remember I had a little emotional breakdown at one point because I was in a gallery surrounded by enemies. And it's kind of similar to one of Dante's scenarios in Hell. And I remember everyone on the gallery was from the enemy gang. I wasn't a part of a gang, but I had problems with a gang, you know, and so I had everybody in the gallery was enemies with me. And I just remember thinking to myself, is this what the rest of my life is going to amount to? We fighting with these gangs in prison, stabbing, killing each other over nothing. And I just said a prayer to myself, not even really being a religious person. And I said, you know, there's something that this life, you know, if something is meant for me in this life, they'll show me a path, because I really don't want this. I'd rather die than to live this life. And I remember a neighbor who wasn't a particular friend of mine had offered me a book. And the book was called The Finding of the Third Eye by a Christian mystic called Vera Stanley Bolden. And I just remember as I read through that book, all these things just resonated with me as she spoke about spirituality, about no matter what religion you participate in or what you believe in, the Spirit of God resides within you. And as long as you realize that, your thoughts, your words, and your deeds manifest as a destiny that you create for yourself. So I said to myself, well, this is true. Let me actually do something to really see if this will manifest. And I just changed the way that I thought. I changed the way that I behaved. I changed the way that I just felt about everything. And almost immediately, everything changed in my life. Everything just started to turn positive. I started to experience positive thoughts. I started to have positive experiences, relationships, everything. And eventually this led me to Sing Sing, where I was involved in a program called Rehabilitation Through the Arts. And this is where I met Professor Jenkins. And Professor Jenkins introduced to us a workshop with Dante's Inferno. And that really changed my life at the time, because everything that we studied, every line of every poem by Dante's Inferno was just so profound, and it just resonated with me so deeply that when it came time to actually interpret his text, it was something that just came from the heart, you know. And like what you saw here tonight, it all culminated in a performance inside the prison with some of Professors Ron Jenkins' students from Wesleyan University. And it was so profound that night that everybody just was something that everybody, even the administration, talked about for months to come. And I didn't get to see Professor Jenkins until I was released from prison. And almost, I think, to the day that I was released, Professor Jenkins was in my hat saying, "Hey, we got to meet." And I worked with him for a couple of times throughout the pandemic. And I participated in a couple of classes that he held with some of his Yale students and Wesleyan students. And he performed a play about the Attica riot. And Professor Jenkins has definitely been one of those elements that really affected, that, or maybe I would say one of those elements that's my spirituality brought into my life to help my redemptive process. You know what I mean? And I'm very thankful for, just meeting you and being able to work with you, BL, and Naomi, who I've known for some time now as well. I'm glad to have met you and yourself, and all of you here. And I'm just grateful.
Thank you, Dario. We're grateful to have you here. Anybody in the audience have any comments on what you've seen? The performers would love to hear from you, or answer any questions that you might have.
Real quick, if you guys enjoy the music that you heard this evening, I hope that you did. You can find tons more on my website for my nonprofit record label. Me and Miss Naomi both have music there, and a ton of other artists. And you can sign up for my email list if I give you one of my cards. So just let me know if you're interested, and I'll come bring it around. Thank you very much.
Okay, yeah, we'll pass around the mic for whoever wants to come. Was there? Okay, wait, over here. We can be next up there.
First of all, thank you, and so much respect for your, in some ways, vulnerability and sharing your dignity. My naive perspective is that this is a delicate transition for many. You represent, I presume, a relatively small percentage. So I guess my question is, and just newly coming into my own education about the opportunities of formerly incarcerated, and maybe Columbia University, I know, has a program that has supported these types of initiatives. What, and this is for anyone on the panel, what do you think are the avenues, the channels, either academia or colleges, universities, community colleges, what are the channels to educate the public better?
To educate the public with regards to
it's a big question, I admit. Educate the public about, I guess, your initiative specifically, and channels to partner with different organizations. It's a big question.
Well, I'll speak for me. I'm the program manager at the Yale Law School I oversee the Racial Justice Center there. And there's plenty of opportunities to educate the public. And one of my jobs is, as New Visions for Public Safety, is to begin to educate our public to ensure that they're aware of like the laws that take place, to ensure that the public knows that they have a say in policy and legislation, and get them involved in that, because it's important that they have a seat at the table when laws are being passed and laws are being drawn up with people that aren't being affected by those laws. So the people that are closest to the solution, closest to the problem, are the ones that's closest to the solution. So we have the formerly incarcerated in New Haven, or in the city of Connecticut, just moving as a unit to be able to educate the public and get the public awareness out there, so that our citizens are, one, aware that the mistakes that we make in split seconds shouldn't determine the rest of our lives. We're indebted to society, truthfully, and we pay that debt, and we try to come back to the community viable citizens in our community. So I think that we should have our full citizenship upon reentry into the community. No one ever thought that a 17-year-old who took someone's life, who was a 7th grade dropout, reading on a 3rd or 4th grade level, would be a program manager at Yale at the age of 50 after serving 30 years incarcerated. Because in today's world, if we don't have a certain degree of academia, those doors are never open to us. So I think it's important that, I always big up Yale for affording myself and others the opportunity to walk along their campus and actually be employed by them. I said I grew up in the city of New Haven. I grew up actually 3 blocks away from Yale University. I did not walk on that campus until I was employed by them at the age of 50. And there's so many others like me that feel unwelcome because they don't have the knowledge. So it's our responsibility as the ones with the knowledge to share it and to get our community involved with what's going on. It's the responsibility of young men like him that came from Sing Sing and are at Columbia to let people know that Columbia is welcome. It's not an exclusive club. It's an inclusive club. You know what I'm saying? We're all welcome there.
Thank you, Red. Bye. Good evening, everyone. First of all, I'd like to commend the entire process, Professor Jameson, and everyone that has offered, and Naomi, my new friend, everyone that has offered themselves to bear this truth amongst us, And I wanted to just speak to the fact that you had said that we've all lived our own private hell, not to take away from any shine, but to also be transparent about who you're speaking to as well. I'll start off with the grace period. Happened, Dr. Barbara Bethea, and I am the current director of the Creative Arts Therapy Program at Rikers Island. And we have arts therapists, music therapists, dance. I'm a poetry therapist, and what is the one I left out? Drop. And we work on the mental observation units there. And that's been going on over 2 decades. You won't hear about that on the news. You don't know anything about that, right? And so that's what our society does. It marginalizes, stigmatizes, and it hides. It will not ever let you know that there are things going on. So when you talk about academia, and the decolonization of the histories of people who are indigenous, to these 50 United Plantations. If they would let up and give you and bear the truth, then you would know what the truth is. So my truth is, by the grace of God, I celebrated 30 years a day at a time away from crack cocaine and alcohol. And I'm a living witness to that. I'm a survivor of domestic violence and sexual assault. So trauma, drama, and karma, part of my lineage, intergenerational curses, right? Holla, hood, that, But the bottom line of it is what you're doing and being a testament and standing up, and waving your flag and saying, this is who I am. This is my America. I too am America. I too am at the table, and I had to go through all that darkness. I had to live that life in order to get to this life. I wouldn't take nothing from my journey. I'm happy about who I am. I'm happy about who you are, because we're all in the same family. I just didn't get caught, that's all. Wow, isn't that something? But incarceration, decarceration, and all of those things, that is a family thing. That's a united thing. You don't have to wait for somebody to tap you on the shoulder or funding. That starts in your hood. You know somebody that has been out there with mental health or what have you. Stop running from your people. Put your arm around them and give them a hand up, man, and stop the playing. So that's what you need to do. Not asking how do you think we need to do it. Do it. And do it free. I'll do it.
Comments. Yes. Randomly all that. I really want to thank you for a most inspiring evening with the National Lawyers Guild. It's the only bar association that accepts lawyers, legal workers, and jailhouse lawyers. And we've been out there a long time supporting what you're doing, trying to get you out and trying to make those places not just more sane institutions. We're even concerned about the bad air and the bad soil that those prisons are being built on, and they continue to be built on. So we want to extend, as a National Lawyers Guild, we want to keep in contact. We have chapters across the whole country, but we need your inspiration. We're the technical people that know a little bit about the law, but you know more about justice than we do. So we really want to collaborate.
I definitely will share my information with you. I would. Just real quick, outside of my personal job at Yale, I also have the Next Level Empowerment Program. It's a reentry program, and I'm also working with youth in the Manson Youth Institute in Connecticut to overcome some of the traumas and compound traumas that they're experiencing, that I once experienced while I was incarcerated, when no one was there to assist me through those situations. So I know what it is on the mental health level. I know what it is. I can identify with what this system went through. At the age of 13, I was coming to New York by myself, and my wife can attest to this. I wasn't getting high, but I was on the highway. You know what I'm saying? And I was, 140th, 139th from Broadway, all the way up to 189th. I copped a lot of stuff from off those streets to bring back to my community, employees in my community. But it was all by design. It wasn't until I found myself confined and started to educate myself. You know what I'm saying? I dedicated my life to now trying to disrupt those pipelines. You know what I'm saying? And I've been home 2 years and 2 weeks. And I've been doing this since the day I came home. You know? And then I'm trying to stop solitary confinement. You know, right now we have this thing in America called, that we reimagine what prison should look like for my people. Black and brown people more so, and disenfranchised whites. I can't begin to imagine what bondage will look like my people unless it's slavery. And as the sister said, I'd rather be in the grave than be a slave again, or to have my people be portrayed as slaves. You know what I'm saying? So we have to continue to work together and do the things like this to disrupt and discontinue this carceral system that America has designed for our suffering.
Right.
Would you feel comfortable sharing what it was like, I guessing that you mentored people that were in the workshop, or there's a relationship, particular relationships between one or two of you? And I just wanted to ask you how you got involved with this workshop and what the experience has been like for you sharing your stories. I'm just curious how you put this all together.
Well, actually, I've known I've actually known Miss Naomi since I was 17 years old. So our relationship started a very, very long time ago. I know Tracy and Robin, they have a long-standing relationship also. They were incarcerated together. But when I met Miss Naomi, she was the resident, the choir director. And everybody came from all across the campus together, Muslims, atheists, child molesters, everybody, to see Miss Naomi and the choirs sing every Sunday, pack the church, guards, everybody. and I played guitar. So people started, saying, hey, telling her like, hey, it's this kid can really rap and, play guitar and stuff. Miss Naomi took me under her wing, started teaching me how to, I got some more technical things, teaching me how to harmonize, teaching me, how to better write songs with my guitar and, stuff like that. Very just a natural relationship, like my mom in there, like my grandmom, right? And I went home, and of course it's hard to leave lifers because you think you're never going to see them again, So it's like, if everything works well, I will never see you again. If I have to see you again, that's a bad thing, right? But when she got out, it was just amazing because I couldn't believe. Even now, when she sings and stuff, I have these moments where I'm like, I can't believe that we're here in the same room, like, and she's literally singing right now. Like, I just be blown. But Professor saw me on something. He reached out to me, said, hey, the song that you sung, it sounded really close to, I'm a Dante professor, and things that you're saying, it sounds just like what's in the book. And I was like, what? I was like, okay. And then he sent me a book. He sent me a book, and I got the book, and I just started reading it. And he didn't explain to me literally, like the parallel, I was blown away, I felt like I was like, oh, my music gonna last for 10,000 years too. I was really blown away by the similarities, what I did and what was in the book. And it only made sense for me to reach out to Miss Naomi and let Professor meet her because I knew, because her voice is so powerful, I knew that would work. And then we just been working, gigging, been to Italy, performed in Italy, did our show, me and Professor and Miss Naomi in Italy together. We've been gigging all over. Yeah.
Could you respond to that question a little bit too? Because you have a long history with Dante back in, I think it was 2010 also.
So I met the professor in 2010. He came to Nyack in Connecticut, and for me it was just like I did a lot of writing on my own, and I had performed like some other people's pieces and like a couple of shows, but I wasn't really interested in sharing my writing. I just felt like it was something I did for myself. And then I started a writing class, but even there I wasn't comfortable like performing my own stuff until I took this class. And then when I took this class and I got introduced to this type of material, it was like my first real opportunity to get into a text like that and feel like it was something that was relatable. And the way the professor taught it made it relatable. And I'm not, as much as schooling as I've done, I don't like to read. I'm not like a big reader. And so some of the stuff that I've read, it has to really be like, real life stuff, nonfiction stuff, you know what I mean? And so for me to be absorbed into this text and to find it relatable was a huge thing for me. And to write on something like that was outside of my comfort zone. But then this was the first time I had ever performed any of my personal writing when I joined his class. And I tried to back out at the last minute, but he really pushed me. And I really feel like that really set the course for me as far as like in so many different areas, but as far as like public speaking, as far as being able to communicate, as far as being able to expose, that was the first time I really exposed my writing and instead of like shining and rolling, let somebody else read my own stuff, I stood up and said my own words, and I spoke about something that was personal, but I was also proud that I was able to like, absorb and digest the text. So it was like a really, pivotal moment for me as far as like where my life has taken me, as far as like my confidence, as far as my writing ability, as far as my ability to get up and speak in front of people. So it really was a life-changing experience. And then once and to touch on the text, when you are in prison, there's so many different areas of the prison. Like when you first get arrested, the intake, the, mental health, segregation, a unit that's housed by only long-termers, a unit that's housed by only short-termers. So there's so many different aspects in areas in the prison, and each one has its own kind of, yeah. So when I read Dante and I read the different parts of hell, I just felt like each part I could correlate to a different part of my journey through the facility. You know what I mean? And so that was like, like I said, it was a mind-blowing experience. It was a great experience. And, that class really put me in force to, it really changed me in a really positive way. So.
And I still remember that amazing piece that you wrote in 2010. I still have it about the circles of hell that you met in the prison. Sorry we didn't have time to perform that today. Maybe we'll do that next time around. But it was really an amazing piece of work. You could tell that you really read Dante deeply and responded to it really personally, so powerfully. And I wonder if maybe Miles, from the student's point of view, from the Yale student's point of view, could talk a little bit about the process as you see it, because you've been involved 2 years in this work. So maybe you could give your perspective as well.
Yes. Well, it's always a pleasure this is now my second year with the group, but my first time meeting Ray and Tracy and Robin. I was able to meet BL and Miss Naomi last year. And it was just life-changing. I'll respond to a question that someone asked while we were at Yale, where they asked, how was it transformational? And so for me, going to Yale Divinity School, I was a student looking to just hit the ground running in ministry. I wanted to do something. I know we have like the theology and the systematic theology and the readings and writings, but I really wanted to put my faith into action. And so in my classes in my first semester, it just felt like something was missing, because all I was doing was reading and writing without the actual action of ministry, when I knew that there are people out there, including myself, who need service. And so in that search, I found this class from a former student who was in this class last year, who recommended this to me. And from that point, it was just like the heavens opened, and I found my way into this sort of tunnel of a sort of a hell, in a sense, an isolation, and found my way into this freedom with people like BL, like Naomi, and I just named them because they were there last year, who were the living miracles that we tried to study in Divinity School. To someone who knows what it is like to be bound and to reach liberty, who can actually tell you those steps and use Dante to highlight those things. I think so easily we can get so distracted from the miracles that we see in our daily lives. And so meeting Miss Naomi, meeting BL, meeting Ray, meeting Tracy and Robin and you today, it was just literally seeing God's work right in front of me. Their stories are just impeccable. And they, one of the songs Miss Naomi sang last year was, I think she said, there was an Attica play, and she said, Attica is you, Attica is me, and Attica is in all of us. And so I think that what that spoke to me was that we really all have our own testimonies, and we all have our own sort of understanding of what it means to be bound, whether that is physically incarcerated or mentally, physically, emotionally. And so we, through all of the guests here, we see that there is a way out. Through Dante, we see that there is a way out, that hell is not the final destination for anyone. At least it doesn't have to be. And so just that testimony and that work really inspired me. And so it was just extremely transformational for me. And last, I'll just close with, you may have noticed that Miss Naomi and I are wearing the same shirt. I'm going to take Miss Naomi now as a mentor because she actually, she was wearing this shirt one day last year, and I just said, oh, Miss Naomi, I like your shirt. And she literally, at that moment, went to the bathroom, put on a Yale hoodie, and gave me this shirt right off her back. So I am just not only just physically changed by every guest here, but also deeply emotionally, spiritually. And I just thank God for each and every one of you, and for Professor Jenkins as well.
Thank you, Miles.
Got a question for the students. So obviously there's a lot of things that, we have different, but my question to you is, what did you learn that made you, what are some of the things that you're surprised that we have in common, like all of us, or just you personally to us? John.
Okay, BL. I'll share. I needed a Monday night class, and I looked at the course catalog, and I'm just flipping through, no, and then there's this 6 to 9 class. The title is literally Rap, Gospel, Social Justice, Prison, and the Arts. And I immediately thought of my father, who taught at a maximum security prison upstate for many years, and he would come home and tell us these stories about these friends that he made inside. And after they come out, he would spend time. We saw one of them in the mall walking around. My mom was here. We saw Lefty in the mall. And there was something about it that just jumped off the page. I was like, okay, I've got to take this class. And this idea of we're those of us who don't have the experience of incarceration, we don't know what goes on behind the wall. And there was some mystery that my dad would come home with, and I was curious about but never knew. And your question is, what's our common ground? And I got a chance to hang out with BL and Miss Naomi a few days ago. I had the honor of being their chauffeur. And Miss Naomi and I hung out till 5 a.m. on Saturday with a performance. Anyway, I won't share too much. But we had a great time. And it was just too easy to connect on so many levels. And I think just to reach out and connect and talk about the podcasts we like and the shows we watch, but even at a heart level, the things that make us tick, the things we love, the things we're scared of, it was just so easy to connect in that way. And so that mystery, my father died a year ago, coming up in a couple weeks. And so the connection for me was quite personal, but to be able to spend time, and for me, Ray, is just a hero, and to be able to be paired with you, brother, is just amazing, and I'm so proud of you and so grateful to be your fan. So thank you, and there's much more I could say, but that common ground was way easier than I thought it would be.
Thank you, John. I wonder if our friend Teresa could respond a little bit. She's a Dante scholar, and we're so lucky to have her here speaking Dante's words in Italian to us. So I wonder if you made any connections that you could talk about.
Okay, so I'm Italian, maybe third year. And this is my last year as a PhD student. I'm finishing my dissertation writing on Dante and Paradiso. So I watched the same performance last year at the Yale Divinity School, and I loved it. And I was so deeply moved by it. Also because I don't know, in Dante studies, maybe in general in academia, I'm talking about Dante studies because it's what I do. I feel like sometimes we keep talking and we don't say anything. This thing right here, it was real. It made sense. Finally, something was making sense. And then we had another occasion to talk, and I told him, I wanna come to class. I don't know what I'm gonna do, but please let me do something. I also said, but you will never get me off stage. This happened. And actually, I don't know, there were so many connections with my partner, Robert. He wasn't able to be here today, actually, because he had a lawyer appointment. He couldn't come today. But we had so many conversations about really what Dante means. And I think we still read Dante, and Dante is still so important because he talks to who we are as human beings, to the core of ourselves. And so, I don't know, in the many conversations I had with Robert over Zoom, like 3-4 hours, I think I was able to teach him something, and he was able to teach me something. There was a real conversation about Dante, about how to read Dante, how Dante changed both of our lives. His life, but also mine, because that's why I read Dante, not because it's really important. It's been a constant presence in my life, and it keeps helping my life. The same happened with Robert. So yes, so many similarities, and also all of your stories. they all make sense, and they make sense in the way you read Dante so much more than some other things. And yeah.
Here, thank you, Teresa. So it's getting late, but I just want to give anybody who has a who feels like they really want to say something briefly, or in the audience or on stage, that you would like to say before we close up. If not,
December 16th, my organization is having our 10-year anniversary at the Roulette in Brooklyn. It's going to be phenomenal. A documentary screening, and we bring it all my artists in. We're going to do a powerful medley. So if you want to be inspired, good food, music, pink film, you can come to the Roulette. So it's
and are you and Miss Naomi both performing? Okay.
performing and catch up. I need us to make ours.
Okay, I'm going to be there. I think it will be a great night.
Yeah, I just want to say into question that you had earlier.
Is great.
Well, I'll project. I just wanted to speak a little to the question that you had asked earlier. Things that are going on in the universities and out in society. Well, there are a lot of movements going on to really bring about awareness to what is going on with our system, what is going on in society, and how do we bring about solutions to these problems. And as you heard here tonight, it's by proximity, of course. So working at Columbia University, I work within a department called the Center for Justice. And I work in particular with a program called Justice Through Code, which is a free online national program which we teach individuals across the country enhanced digital literacy skills. That's one of the biggest issues for individuals coming out of incarceration, is struggling with just using all these digitized systems. So and even just being able to work any type of job out here in society, you need to learn how to use computers, how to use Google Workspace products, and all these things. So we teach these things as well as software engineering, data analytics, and we get individuals into career track jobs in the tech industry where they make 100,000 and better. And these are individuals that are coming out of incarceration with no prior coding knowledge. They come from parts of the country where there are no resources. Here in New York State, we have, a plethora of resources now. Even though there are still many people that are struggling out here, but there are a plethora of resources out here. In other parts of the country, there's nothing, absolutely nothing. So individuals kind of put all their eggs in the basket and say, all right, let me take a shot at this organization here. And we have many students who are now working in companies like Google, Amazon, Zoom, Dropbox, Checker, and they're making $100,000+ a year and supporting their families, leading dignified lives. And not only that, but opening doors for individuals that come out behind us. And all this work is just coming out of places like Yale Law School, Columbia University, NYU's prison education program. And one of the things that we do is we try to make connections with individuals like you see here, the students from from the Yale School of Divinity. We have all kinds of people from the tech industry, from the Columbia Business School, which we work in conjunction with. And what we do is we create relationships, whereas individuals from different segments of society get to interact with and really get to know one another so that we can break down these barriers that separate us and kind of put people in a position like these MBA students, many of them whom are entrepreneurs or work in Fortune 500 companies. And once they get to interact with our students, they get to see that these are individuals that are just as talented as anyone else. This is an untapped resource here. And we're being barred from all these industries. So now they get to see it from a different perspective. And in the future, when they're in positions to hire individuals like us, they'll open those doors because they know, and this is what we do at the Center for Justice. We create these types of scenarios where we we make people aware of this untapped resource, which is individuals with criminal backgrounds.
Let us comment here.
Oh, yes. One thing.
Yes.
And I just wanted to say, I know I didn't say very much tonight, but if you guys want to read more about me or any of my experiences, you can go online at it's the number 23 yearsaninmate.com. So if you want to learn about anything that I've done or anything that I'm doing and get involved in anything that I'm doing, follow that and contact me.
Thank you. New York City Health and Hospital Correctional Health Services. There is an art exhibition that is on the walls of Woodhull Hospital at Broadway, and those are the artistic expressions of people who are currently incarcerated in Rikers. This exhibit will be on the walls for the next 2 years. Arts and medicine coupled with New York City Health and Hospital or Correctional Health Services. And so we have a nice exhibit. If you can't make it to Woodhull, it is also on Bloomberg Connect, which showcase art through 100 different places online, museums around the world. So please support that as well. Go online and look for Correctional Health Services. Rikers Island Art Exhibition is called Create Within. Thank you.
Thank you all for being here, everybody on the stage. Thanks you. It's been a great evening. Keep up the great work.